Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, and Alex Rodriguez. What do these guys have in common? Superstar players, generational talents at that never made the Hall of Fame, or won't. And it's all because of steroids. It's the world we live in, and we need to get over ourselves, because at this point, it's just ridiculous. These guys are generational talents that defined a generation and saved baseball. But because of steroids, these players most likely will never enter the Hall of Fame.
Deals, and Bonds hits one high, hits it deep, it is out of here! 7:56.
What could you do in 150 milliseconds? Well, not much. In fact, you can't even blink in 150 milliseconds. It takes about 300 to 400 milliseconds for the human eye to blink. It's crazy. But in 150 milliseconds, a batter needs to decide whether to swing or not to swing. Ain't that something? And these guys are able to hit home runs over 450 feet. That's insane. But yet, when somebody does steroids, we tell them, you're not allowed. I did the same thing everyone else did, but because I had a little bit of a boost, I am not allowed in. David Ortiz is one of the greatest postseason hitters of all time, and in general, one of the greatest hitters of all time. But he's in the Hall of Fame and did steroids. He got caught for it and everything. It was on the news. And if you don't believe me, here it is.
Tonight with a Red Sox shocker, the New York Times is reporting that beloved Boston slugger David Ortiz tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs back in 2003, along with then teammate Manny Ramirez.
The proof's in the pudding. It's right in front of your face. And yet Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez, I mean, there are guys who have taken steroids but are some of the greatest players ever. You can't deny that. And it still takes skill. And that's another reason. It still takes skill. It's not that if I take steroids, I become Superman. That's not the case. When I take steroids, I still have to perform. What I like to say is that if you were to give a normal average Joe steroids, right? If you were to give a homeless man or whoever, I don't care who, but if you gave a random person steroids and you put him up against a prime Jacob deGrom or Garrett Cole or whoever, that person automatically isn't going to hit better. He's going to struggle. He's still going to be an average Joe. He's not going to hit at all. Maybe he gets one into the outfield. Maybe. But still, he will struggle. Barry Bonds was one of the greatest hitters of all time. He had this inhuman ability to see the ball and be able to launch it. He was a 5-tool player when he was in Pittsburgh. He then made it one superpower and just started mashing in the late 90s. And when it came time for it, we found out he was having a healthy diet of steroids. And obviously his fruits and vegetables, of course. But Barry Bonds is not in the Hall of Fame, yet he has some of the craziest stats ever. In fact, there is a whole TikTok page dedicated to random Barry Bonds facts. And these are just some of them.
Barry Bonds, he retired with a career on-base percentage of .444. Off the bat, that's absurd. However, if he were to come out of retirement tomorrow, he would need to make 1,412 straight outs to drop his on-base percentage lower than 400. 1,412. Do you realize how ridiculous that is? In 2004, the top 4 hit leaders in the National League were Juan Pierre, Mark Loretta, Jack Wilson, and Adrian Beltre. They all had 200 hits or more. Barry Bonds had 373 at-bats that year. He could have gotten 0 hits, nada, 0 for 373, and he still would have had a higher on-base percentage than the top 4 hit leaders in the National League.
Crazy, right? But still, people say he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. And in fact, their argument is, oh, if Barry Bonds didn't have steroids, he wouldn't be as great. Well, you're probably right. But I did my research, and I looked at when Barry Bonds started to look like a watermelon. And that was around 1999. So from his rookie season in 1986 to 1998, I looked up his stats. And you know what they said? The guy had 411 home runs, a batting average of .290. He also had a slugging of .556, an OPS of .966, an OPS plus of .164. The guy was insane. Did you know Barry Bonds is the only member of the 400 club? 400 stolen bases, 400 hits, and he's the only member of the 500 club, 500 home runs, 500 stolen bases. I'm just saying, the guy is doing things that has never, not doing things, but he's done things that have never been done before. It's absolutely ridiculous. And people keep saying, oh, he's not a Hall of Famer. He's not a Hall of Famer. But when you look at the numbers, he's a Hall of Famer. Why do you think they haven't erased his name from the record book? Why do you think they haven't said, oh, Barry Bonds isn't the all-time leader? It's still Hank Aaron. Barry Bonds cheated. Because the sport is that hard. You see, baseball isn't like basketball. Basketball, you can control the elements of the game. Football, you can control the elements of the game. Baseball, you can't. There are so many variables. So many things can happen in one play, in one at-bat. It is so unpredictable that nobody can predict it. And so, Barry Bonds, for what he has done, even with steroids, is incredible and should not be discounted. He belongs in the Hall of Fame. And to those who say he doesn't, well, you're wrong. You look at the numbers and the numbers don't lie. He is the greatest player in baseball history, and you can't deny that. Steroids or no steroids. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And as always, peace.